This video is sponsored by Rvdy. Get over to the website and visit the Paladins section for getting crystals at a very cheap budget. And also don't forget to use the coupon PB for getting a 3% discount. Rvdy. Hey, what is going on you guys? PushdaButtons here, and in today's video I'll be guiding you how you can get better at your aiming skills. Now do keep in mind, watching this video will not turn you into a pro right away, unless you put what you learn from here into practice. Now with that being said, let's just jump straight into the guide. Aiming. This is something a lot of gamers stress about. If you ask me what's the best way to have better aims, then my honest opinion would be throw yourself in a tight situation during a match. Like put yourself in a risk and try to frag out and then come back alive from there. I highly recommend you do this in casuals, cause it's a place for having fun and nothing serious goes on there. So take your desired champion, ignore the lobby, and have fun practicing it in casuals. And if you're one of those players who hides and tries to camp and waits for the team to create some opening, then you'll always lag behind. That's not how you learn. Don't be afraid to fight. The more you make mistakes, the more you'll learn. That's how simple it is. And if you see a pro streamer or pro player in YouTube, their first game was as usual horrible. And I've heard about this tip from a lot of pro players, that the more you try to frag out at the beginning, the more you'll screw up, the more you'll miss your shots, and that's the key to become better, if you keep on practicing and learning from those mistakes. And also don't worry if you want to ignore rank, because a lot of people think that playing rank makes you a better player. Well, that's not entirely true. Playing rank does help you to learn certain things like positioning, drafting, counterpicking, etc., but it has nothing to do with bettering your aiming skills. Now let's take a look at some of the practices that you should do to improve your aim. And speaking of aim, there are actually 3 types of aim that is required to get good at Paladins. Firstly, the track shot. Secondly, the flick shot. And thirdly, the prediction shot. Relax, I'll teach you each and every one of these aiming skills, but first let me help you find the sensitivity and other related stuff that you really need to learn these shots. And just a disclaimer, having $100 or $70 gaming mice won't make you better at FPS games. It's just a raw bullcrap theory. Now sensitivity. If it is too high, then most likely you'll miss all your shots. If it is too low, then you won't be able to react properly. If you want to fix this, then start with the DPI. DPI stands for dots per inch. If you want to know what's your DPI, then open Paint, scale it to 100%, and then from 0 or close to 0 point, try to drag a line by moving your mouse cursor for about like an inch. And the number you'll have after the draw is your DPI. It's the fastest and the easiest way. For FPS games, the idle DPI is 400. And if you want to know how you can lower the DPI, then type mouse at the Windows start, and then go to mouse settings, and then go additional mouse option, find pointer option tab, and then tweak this. Keep on adjusting this until you get 400 or close or a bit more than 400 in Microsoft Paint by using the same technique that I've showed you earlier to figure out your mouse DPI. Why you need to lower your DPI? Well, mainly if it is too high, then it will increase your overall sensitivity. So keeping it down to medium or lower range is very helpful. And I almost forgot. Be sure to untick this. Now comes in-game sensitivity, which is entirely your personal preference. Some say I like to play on 2 sensitivity, some will say mine is 8. Well, it doesn't matter, nobody gives a squid. Where you should put your emphasis on is whether you can do a complete 360 or at least 180 with your current in-game sensitivity. If you can't, then tune it up. Once you're done and you can do a complete 360 or at least 180, then you can say you're ready. The reason why I told you to ignore what everyone says is that your comfort is all that matters when it comes to your mouse DPI and in-game sensitivity. If you have a small desk or your gaming setup is in a narrow space, then obviously you'll need a higher DPI and sensitivity to do a quick 360 or 180. And if you're having a big vast space, then of course you can stay very comfy with lower DPI and sensitivity. So that's why you should figure out on your own how much DPI and in-game sensitivity suits you well. Now, one last thing before we move on to the training, and that is FOV, or field of view. The higher it is, the better you can see your surroundings. Mine is 110, you can keep it to default if you wish. And the lower it is, well, I don't know. Alrighty soldier, it's time to hit the gym. Firstly, the track shot, and I think it's relatively easy comparing to other 2 aiming skills. All you gotta do is track where your enemy is going and keep on track of them. It's easy once you practice for a little while, also just because it's easy doesn't mean you're gonna underestimate it. Awesome tracking capabilities can turn the table. These are the champions that requires track shot to play them at their full potential. To make the training more easy, Enable crosshair color change over target. Then practice the track shot with static enemies. Aim at your enemy and you keep on strafing while keeping the crosshair steady at the enemy. If your crosshair is not on the target, then you can easily see it because it'll change the color. So try to keep the crosshair to the same color when you get a lock on your target. Keep on doing this for a couple of minutes or until you feel like you have a good hold on it. Secondly, practice the track shot with a moving enemy. In this case, practice it with a walking pip. Just stand still and track where the pip is going. Once you're comfortable, just do the same that you did with the static training. Try to strafe as much as possible, and then try to keep tracks of those pips. If it has changed color, then you're not doing it right. Don't stress much about it, as it's a pretty straightforward and a simple technique, so eventually you'll get the hang of it. Also, if you want to have good aims at Fortnite, then track shot is your bae, cause Fortnite doesn't rely on flick shots that much. Speaking of flick shots, our practice number 2 is all about bettering yourself at the flicks. And before we dive into the training, let me describe what is actually the flick shot. Flick shot is basically you see a target and track it. But instead of using the track shot, you just flick your crosshair to the target to shoot it. In this method, you actually don't rely on tracking your crosshair over your enemy like you did while practicing the track shots. Instead, you track your enemy with your eye or your eye's peripheral vision, and then quickly you flick your mouse to the target to catch up with it and finish it off. I know this sounds very complicated, but trust me, it's not that hard. Once you practice your muscle memory and your mechanical aim, everything becomes 10 times easier. And the main problem of it is that it takes a little while. That's all. These are the champions that you should use to practice flick shots, and these are the champions that requires good flicking capabilities to play them at their full potential. So at first, you need to train your muscle memory. To do this, keep your crosshair at the pillar and then track where the pip is going, and then quickly try to turn at it and shoot it. Start with a very slow pace and then speed it up once you feel you're getting the hang of it. At first, you'll miss a lot, and that's completely fine. Now once you've done this, and you feel like you're hitting most of your shots, then it's time to take it to the next level. This time, try to use your dashes or rolls or any other mobility to completely lose sight of your target, and then try to catch up with the flicks. This is the last practice for mastering flicks in Paladins. It'll take a while, depending on how much time you invest to train yourself in the practice lobby. And hey, back in the time when I first started practicing flicks, I actually practiced it in casual matches against real players. So it took me a long freaking while to get the hang of it. I was such a jerk, and to me visiting the training section felt very boring. Well, never mind, now you know the secrets. Take your time, don't push it too far. Just keep in mind, every pro player that you see today had gone through the same situation that you're facing right now as a beginner. Now comes the last practice on the list, and that is prediction shot. And these are the champion that needs this skill to play at their full potential. If you want to learn this shot, then all you need is experience. Also, after mastering track shot and flick shot, learning this trick won't cause you any trouble. But still, if you want to practice it, then pick Shaolin and go a bit far and try to hit your shots. From this amount of distance, you actually have to calculate a bit to land those shots on those moving pips, as your arrow will travel a little bit slow due to the big gap. And if you think you need to practice it from a close range, then pick Drogos and try to land those shots not from the air, but from the ground. And that's all the practices that I did back in the time when I was a newbie. And it was real fun sharing with you guys. Now before signing out, here's some bonus tips. Play and party with a pro player. Try to look out for players that plays well, and just simply admiring their skills will help you to start a conversation with them. Be friend with them and try to have fun playing together in a party. This way you can see his skills and tricks from up close, and you can practice it later on to improve yourself. Disable vertical sync, as it delays your mouse movement when you register it, so it'll cause you real trouble if you want to hit those critical shots. Make sure you're getting solid 60 FPS or 30 FPS in your matches, otherwise you'll have real hard time hitting a target. If you want to tweak your machine for giving you a better performance, then you can use game boosters like Rvdy Game Booster or Abit Game Booster, as both of them are for free and a lot of pro gamers uses it. Install Spybot Anti-Beacon. Some people, myself included, finds it helpful as it reduces the ping. For me, it reduced 15 in-game ping. It's not that much, but at least it's something. Shaking your hand on left to right every once in a while helps you to reset your hands. In intense matches, after aiming for too long, you might face wrist strain, or your arm might hurt or stiff a little while you try to aim. And sometimes aiming and tracking for too long causes tiredness. Your brain gets tired of it. So shaking the screen helps your arm and brain to go through a soft reset. A lot of pros does that, why not we try it too? Anyways guys, that's all about it. Hope you've learned at least something from the video, and I hope I was able to be of some help. I know aiming is something that is very vast and complicated thing to discuss about. So you guys feel free to comment down below whether I missed anything or not, and feel free to share your thoughts about improving aiming skills. Also, a big request, please try to help each other out in the comment section below, as it saves a lot of my time since time is my worst enemy. And don't forget to hit the sub with the bell icon to stay updated every time when I upload a video. Peace.